You're listening to Hayes Radio Network, Cannabis Lifestyle Radio.
Hello, and thank you for joining me today on our sesh. This is Shalina from Shal Toke. Thank you, Chonsie, for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me today.
Yes.
I'm excited.
This is exciting.
Yes.
We have an interesting story how we met. Not that long ago.
Correct.
In Vegas. And then reconnected another way for business-wise. And
yes.
still, it's funny that it was an automatic head off, I guess you can say.
I think so. And just, as we say, organically growing.
Organically growing.
Yes,
I like that.
Yes.
So tell me, I know I don't want to, it's not like an interview. We're not going to be doing an interview status. We're just going to be hanging out.
Aw, shucks. No, with me, it's all about having conversations, especially when you're building relationships and friendships.
Right.
And
what I thought was so fascinating was your story was the fact that you literally went from coffee to cannabis.
I know.
And not a lot of women, in this, there's not a lot of women in this industry that have done it so consistently. And you said, what year did you start?
Now, officially, I want to say it was roughly about 10 years ago. I didn't even think I'd be in this space on any level. I want to say 10 years, maybe a little shy of that.
Right.
But originally, yes, having a coffee shop in L.A.
Well, what was the name?
The name of the coffee shop
Yeah.
was actually called Nikki's Closet. I had it with a girlfriend.
Interesting.
And I was wondering why she utilized the name Closet, Nikki's Closet. But when you would actually go into the space, it was like walking into a living room on someone's home. So she made it, I want to say extremely comfortable, but every day the types of coffees and drinks, you just didn't know what to expect. So it was like, in a sense, whatever she pulled out of the closet. So it was really a lot of interesting flavors, just a realm of an experience of going around the world.
Interesting.
Oh, in the middle of LA.
Oh, so different, the coffees are different
from all over the world.
Interesting.
Yes.
Why was it called Closet?
She actually is what I would consider a fashionista. She was a hairdresser, or still is.
Okay.
Does a lot of makeup and helping people in the industry in Hollywood, behind the scenes,
Nice.
getting to the next level and dressing quite a few for red carpet. So it was an idea that she wanted, a coffee shop. I was her girlfriend. She was my girlfriend. I'm like, what are your dreams? What are we doing? She's like, I want a coffee shop.
Oh.
So, yes, so we opened that. But
so you guys were friends, and then you guys just decided, let's just open up a coffee shop.
Correct.
Interesting.
Yes. So ideally, in the end, because it was really short-lived, it just took too many cups of coffee to pay the bills.
I think you were mentioning that.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so then...
So what I decided to do, I really decided, because I own the property. So I was like, what else do I want to do? I'm too busy, because next door in the other property I have an auto shop where it was where I was, in a sense, really making a lot of good money as well, doing auto restoration and repair. So with that, I was saying, I'm really loving what I'm already doing on the other side of the wall. Let me just put a for lease sign up. So I did that, put it up for rent. And within days, I was getting so many calls, because it's on such a major street, the amount of traffic coming through. So a lot of people were calling about it. But what sparked my attention were these three guys, young men, really young kids. They contacted me saying they wanted to open a T-shirt and hat business, printing and creating T-shirts, for any and everybody. So I thought it was a great idea. I was like, hey, why not? The space is really small but cute. And I thought they'd be successful there. And ideally, they went in, did their thing. And roughly about maybe 4 months later, I got a call from the Neighborhood Watch, the preacher on the street that's in the apartments across from my place. He was like, you better get over to your property. It looks like there's an altercation going on right in the front. So I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, an altercation? Okay, I'm down the street. Let me, pull up and see what's going on. So when I actually did, I pulled up and, I have this lighted box about, I want to say maybe about 15, 20 feet in the air above the building, a lighted box. It's the lighted display marquee.
Okay.
Which describes what kind of business it is. It's the late night light flashing light type of display sign.
Up in your sign.
Yes,
got
yes.
it.
So when I pulled up, there was this green cross, right? So ideally, I mean, not knowing, about any type of industry other than church, and my parents are, over church. So I'm thinking yes, church every day. I was at church every single day growing up. But we'll talk about that in a minute.
That was amazing, by the way, you told me that. We went every day, but you lived at church. No, we used to drive every day
to church. Church.
You were that sinful.
Oh yes, I love my parents, but they just really wanted to make sure we got that religion. You
got God every day.
It was in you, instilled in you. I'm like, Dad, I have a report I have to finish for school. Bring it to church.
God will help you with that one.
Yes, so ideally, with that green cross, when I pulled up, I really thought that they had opened a church. So I said, okay, maybe they're not. Maybe they are, not doing the T-shirts and hats. But there was so much traffic going in and out through the door. As I sat there for a minute, then I said, well, let me go in. I don't see any altercation happening in the front. So as I went in, I went in. There was music playing. It was loud music, and the lighting had changed. So I'm like, well, what are they doing? Now I'm walking down this short little hallway, and now they put up another door where I can't easily get into the building. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? So as I got in, I saw jars and jars and jars of cannabis, weed everywhere, music playing. There's probably about 10 people in there waiting to get served or whatever. And I'm like, what the heck is this? So then when I talked to the guys, I said, I thought you guys were opening up a T-shirt and hat business. What's going on? They pointed to a little display in the corner showing T-shirts and hats, etc.
Wow.
Yes, but they were getting into it. There was a guy in the building, and he refused to leave. So that gentleman was just one of the, let's just say, one of the neighborhood representative or ambassadors of the neighborhood. It is the area of Rolling 60s Crips. So it looked like one of the ambassadors there wanting to be handled or taken care of on some financial way. But I realized these guys really had a great business. They had a lot of traffic going in and out. As I stood there, I counted at least 30 people within 10 minutes.
And what year was this?
This was 2011.
Okay, so
no,
really...
2000. I take that back. About maybe 2009 or something like that.
Oh wow, more than a decade. And you said you were still the property owner?
Yes, I own the property.
And they were paying you rent?
Oh yes, and they were paying on time. So I had no problem with them. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, what's going on?
Wow.
So I did come and check in on them, but they were doing really well.
Wow.
Or I thought they were until they told me that they wanted to get rid of it, or they really wanted to, in a sense, move on and get another location. And I asked them, what do they want to do with that location there? Because it looks to me like they really had a great thing, but were maybe really scared to move in the light of dealing with the ambassadors in the neighborhood.
Right.
But when they asked me about relocating, I said, yeah, I have another property I can put you guys into if you're interested. But what do you want to do with this one? What about all these customers that are here? And then they asked me, did I want it? I said, I'm a businesswoman, of course.
Oh, and it's your property.
It's my property.
So it's like you wouldn't have to do anything.
No, other than give them cash. And then I asked them how much did they want for the business, and I think they told me like $15,000.
Are you kidding?
No, for real.
Wait, where's the location on this?
I forked that money over so quick. I was like, hang on, I'll be right back. Wait, you sit there. No, you come go with me. Because I didn't want him to change his mind.
Yeah.
No, for real. I said, you know what? We're going to go over to my office and let's type something up. Because he had the licensing. It was on the wall.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
so he was
had
able to do it.
And what was it? They call it the BTRC or BRTC, which are certificates in LR 44 and an LR 50 for the city of Los Angeles.
Okay.
And the cross streets, this is 6th Avenue in Florence. So it's 6th Avenue in Florence. It's not too far from Crenshaw. So it's a lot. Okay. It's a major traffic way. And it takes you into Inglewood. It takes you to the airport. It takes you, you're in between the 110 freeway and the 405. So it's, it was great.
Florence and 6th in Venice?
No, not Venice. Van Ness.
Oh, sorry.
Van Ness. That's a big difference. So Venice and Van Ness.
Van Ness. Wait, 6th and...
6th Avenue in Florence. In Los Angeles.
Got it. Okay. Okay, that's like... Yeah, that's deep in.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Oh, that's near Hyde Park.
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was a great neighborhood. Great to me. It was a great neighborhood because I have the auto shop next door. I made a ton of money there. Still making money there.
Wow.
You know, I've had that.
Oh, the auto. Well, you
my
saw
auto shop. I still own my auto shop as well.
Wow.
Called Bullock's Custom Motorsports.
Wow. I need to bring my car in there.
Yes. And then I've been in the auto business in that business, that has a story too. I've had that company since 1999. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, I'm old.
I would never thought. You look amazing.
Really?
I don't know how
Thank
old
you.
you are.
Yes. So, yes, been doing
Do you
great
know
things.
whatever happened to those guys?
You know, as a matter of fact, this is really crazy. But let's see if I can't channel this into where we are, and let me go back a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
So with those guys, I did buy them out.
Okay.
I did relocate them into one of my other buildings.
Oh, you relocated them?
Yes, I did. I wanted that building, that business.
Whatever
I
they
was
did.
going to take over, so they didn't want it,
Right.
but they wanted to relocate.
And so they did the proper licensing for where they were going?
What they gave me, I'm assuming it was right with what they could because they knew how to get the licensing.
Right. Oh, that's right.
So,
they worried about
yes.
licensing, and you just were like, okay.
Yeah, they had them on the
Yeah.
wall.
Right.
So with them having those licenses on the wall, I just knew, it was
Yeah,
a
it was
win-win-win.
legitimate.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just as I relocated them, they were doing their thing, still paying the rent, and
They're
with
paying
time,
me.
yeah. And then I would say in about maybe 6-7 months from that point, I received a letter from the city, city attorney's office, district attorney, and they had basically sent me a letter saying I was running an illegal cannabis dispensary.
So they weren't licensed.
Well, the licenses were there on the wall. I couldn't wait to take those things off and go to court to show them that they didn't know what they were talking about.
Right.
So ideally, I did just that, contacted my attorney at the time and said, hey, I need you to see if you can even move the data because I really want to go there and
right.
give them a piece of my mind in a
Right.
sense because I felt like they really didn't know what they were talking about.
Right.
But ideally, once I got to court, I realized I didn't know what I was talking about. They had those licenses, but there were a lot more things that needed to be in alignment in order to be in compliance.
Like what?
In order to, you needed to have building and safety sign off saying it is a cannabis location.
Interesting.
The police department needs to be aware of it. In addition to that, there should have been the fees paid to the state of California Board of Equalization. They had not taken care of any of that. There were quite a few things. A conditional use permit because it was still an insurance location on the books. So there were a lot of things that weren't in order.
Yeah.
But they still had licensing with the city of Los Angeles to have those licenses for retail, for cannabis sales, and for marijuana sales. So they had that, but they didn't have everything. But what was lacking really with the city of Los Angeles, or really even in the state right now, that was lacking then, that's now in place, is the Department of Cannabis Regulation. That just didn't exist, where there could be people to go to find out what the laws are.
Right.
So it was crazy how they would just say, yeah, go to City Hall, go get your license and open up. I mean, people were doing it.
There was other people they had to also get approval from that they didn't do.
Yes, but the city, how would we know to do it if there's no one to tell you? And if you go online, there's no division or any other compliance program set to explain where to get these things done. There isn't a checklist when you applied for that license with the city of LA like there is now.
Yeah, there's a checklist for all those applications. So thank you for these.
Yes.
They didn't have, and I know they didn't have it even a couple years ago. And
correct. Remember, a DCR is it's still a baby. It's still a newborn.
And it's funny because it's like the state or the city, whoever was licensing them, essentially gave them the license, but then they're going to rack up fines and fees for not doing the other stuff.
Right.
So but they're not allowing, or they're not, maybe they told them and they didn't just do it, or
I don't know. Even when I went up there, they couldn't even tell me what to do. They didn't know.
How did you find out?
Oh, when I went to court, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, when I went to court, and then I realized what I needed to do, and then the attorney started, talking to other people because he's like, okay, this is getting ridiculous. We're seeing rooms of people every as time progressed, there were people, many people with many cases, multiple locations, property owners, because actually when they initially came to me and contacted me, they didn't know that I actually had the store at the time. They had contacted me and prosecuting me as a property owner.
Like you knew about it? And,
yes.
Oh, got it.
And like I just let it go, or I was cool with it. But I assumed that
they were in compliance. Right.
Absolutely.
And it's not like I see how it like falls on your burden, but it's like it shouldn't. Like you're the one. It's like if they're telling you that it's licensed and they're the ones getting all the work.
Oh, absolutely.
Like it shouldn't fall on, unless there's a law. Maybe there's a regulation on that, but
I don't know.
I don't think there was back then.
No. And then when I purchased the business, I contacted the Board of Equalization and paid the back taxes that they hadn't paid according to what receipts that I could locate and pay according to what their average was previously to bring the seller's permit number into compliance. So it's really weird. It's just really funky. But to make a long story even longer, I really got pissed off with going through all the changes. And what I mean by that is I said, okay, if they're coming after me, now I'm thinking of all the other people that they've chased down, they've prosecuted,
right.
They've created chaos for, they've caused to, and it's not cheap. You know, these cases, my case lasts, I want to say at least 3.5 years.
Oh my God.
In addition to that, the fees for the attorney and trying to, in a sense, figure out what was needed to be in compliance. And then they're saying there just isn't a way. But why and how and why would you guys even issue these licenses? Or why not create a way for them to have an expiration date? Or if you were receiving our statements and our annual statements as to how much we've made and it's being posted and paid and the taxes paid to the city or city hall, why not cash the check? Why not send me my money back?
Right.
Why not send me a letter saying, hey, no, I think this is wrong what you guys are saying. I don't think your license is in compliance or something like that. But they didn't do any of that. So then I said, as I continued, every time I went to court, I felt like the judge felt as though I was purposely either lagging it on or extending it or not willing to be in compliance or willing to go against what the ruling of the court was. But it was never on that level. It was for me trying to basically better understand justice and the justice side of this, because I felt like it was a disservice done to me, even to the other gentlemen that were initially in there, and then myself, and then my employees, and then, you know, it's like there's still initially bills to pay. We've created a business, and then as I was in the space, then I realized people weren't just getting high. There are actually people coming in there that are in need of care. So when you're dealing with the public, if you're into what I considered and why I thought this was really a great business is, I really thought that the kids were really young, and I know I keep pertaining to them or saying that they're kids, but these young men, I felt like maybe they could not better understand how to give proper customer service. So I said, well, maybe that's why they want to get rid of the business. Or maybe, you know, with me having the experience for business, I can expand it. I can grow the business. I can create the best customer service and give that customer an opportunity to become that customer for life with me. So then I said, okay, let me better understand what their needs are, since I had people coming in that were AIDS patients, cancer patients, people with hypertension, diabetes, you name it, the entire gamut. So when they would come in, they would ask for things that would actually help them, if it was lower back or shoulder pain or something to help alleviate the side effects of the medication that they're taking for diabetes, etc. So then I said I would ask some of the people I would buy product from, and I would say, okay, in a sense, how does this work for the body? I have a guy asking for something that help take away the swelling in his knees. Then a lot of times the guys would just come in that are selling the pounds. They would initially say, well, you know, I don't know. Shoot, I'm just selling it. Do you want it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then I would be
they don't care.
Okay, no, they just need the money.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like at the time, you know, an average pound being $5,000, that's a lot of money.
Right.
You know, so then I said, okay, since I'm a businesswoman and I'm about the bottom line, about things making sense, how do I increase my bottom line? How do I increase my profit? So then I said, okay, since they don't quite understand how these pounds and what I'm buying, but I'm selling it and the customer needs it or the patient needs it, how do I better understand how it works for their body? So then I had reached out to doctors, some of my friends that are doctors that are in the cannabis space, and then those that are traditional general practitioners. And then I said, let me reach out to some of the doctors that are possibly doing clinical trials at UCLA and USC.
Wow.
So then I said, let me just pick brains, have coffee, have dinner, and start showing up for things. So then as I did that, then I realized what strains worked, and I better understood how a person's body is attached to what we call or consider the endocannabinoid system. And then I said, okay, now I'm understanding this. Now what I need to do is cut out this middleman, the $5,000 pound, so I can determine how much I can really grow a pound for. So then I started climbing into the side of cultivation. So then, yes.
Oh, so it was you were trying to cut out. I mean, because I know you were saying that it was like a process of how you got into the licensing and all that you did, but it was because you were trying to cut out the guy who was charging $5,000 a pound.
Yes, I'm like, this is ridiculous. I've got to find this cheaper.
Yeah,
I found it cheaper, but back then, it was expensive. It's like you get what you pay for. And then I wanted to make sure I was taking care of my patients correctly.
Right.
And then I wanted to get the right products that would work for depending on whatever is ailing you. And then to, in a sense, try and have a variety. It's about a variety. And that variety, if it's a sativa, it's a hybrid. If it's an indica, or if it's a hybrid that is an indica aggressive or indica dominant, but then there's hybrids that are sativa dominant.
Right.
So it's trying to determine what worked and buying what was needed. So then I said, well, I'm just going to grow it. That way, it would only cost me about $800 a pound, opposed to paying
£800 to grow.
Yes.
Interesting.
So on average, it was costing me about $825
per pound.
Wow,
and that's significantly cheaper.
Yeah.
So then, when you figured that out, then what did you do?
Then I kept doing things and continuing my court case. And, yes. But I said, but as I was climbing into this, because I'm like, there's layers to this where this is bigger than what I really thought it was.
Yeah.
So then.
What year was this?
This had to have been like 2011, 2010.
Oh, wow. So you were learning about all of this. I mean, it's not like you were Googling. You were actually talking to like the doctors, like at big schools.
I was taking this seriously because then I realized people were bringing their money to me.
Right.
Seriously. They would bring their last.
Right.
To feel good, to feel better.
You didn't see it from the pharmaceutical or like the medical way until you really started to understand what the patient wanted.
When you're dealing with that person, they come in, and even when you're opening and they're like, okay, I know you're opening at 9:00, but can you open at 8:00? I got to be to work at such and such. And then you're realizing how important this is for people.
What time were you opening?
I was opening at 9, then I started opening at 8.
Interesting.
8 a.m. to take care of those people that were at work early, doing earlier shifts.
Interesting.
Just to try and make sure we gave the best possible customer service. So, yes.
Wait, so were you allowed to open up that early? Like, was the city?
Yeah, I think at that time there really wasn't much to stop you.
Right.
It's just most of the people or most of the other retail stores that were open, I think opened later because maybe they were more of the type that smoked during the day all the time. And me, I'm about business and, how do I structure something to increase my bottom line? How do I make things more efficient? How do we pay attention to having that customer come back? How do we work on marketing? How do we structure it where the employee and every employee is saying the same thing? It's just all of that. Looking at the business side of how do I perfect this and grow this and multiply this into other stores. So I started working on that, and then I ended up opening other stores, as a matter of fact.
Wow. And this was still medical, though?
Yeah. Yes.
And 1 point what?
And then at one point, I was able to have about 4 stores happening all in LA at the same time. Yes.
Well, and what was like the name of them, like secretly?
Because I know it's not a secret if I tell you.
Like now
now I can tell you. Well, ideally, my main location, even you'll see that we have CBD stores now. 6th Ave Collective CBD or 6th Ave Collective. I don't know if you've seen the.
I think I've heard of it.
Yes, because at one point I had every location: 6th Avenue in Florence, 6th Avenue in Vernon, 6th Avenue in Slauson, 6th Avenue in King, 6th Avenue.
Wow, you took over 6th Avenue.
Yes.
Wow.
6th Avenue in Pico. Yes. So just yes.
Interesting. Wow. Okay, back up to the kids.
Yes.
Do you know anything what's happened to them now?
I ran into one, and I've just partnered up with one
Stop!
a month ago.
Stop!
With cultivation.
And so that person was still...
He was like, I was wondering what happened to you. Through the family, one of my other brother-in-laws.
Okay.
Deep in the business, he's been up north, Humboldt, etc., doing it on a bigger scale on the larger farms.
This guy?
No,
your
brother-in-law.
Your brother-in-law.
Yes. So ideally, he's like, hey, Chonsie, can you meet me at my house? He has a really nice house in the hills, not too far from here. And ideally, I said, yeah. He's like, I have a business proposition I want to sit down with you, and I need your opinion on. Do you have a minute? And I said, okay. So as I got there, here's a few Rolls Royces pulling up, a Bentley pulling up. Then this Range Rover, cute little truck pulls up. Lady pulls up. The guy in the passenger seat leans forward. And as I'm standing there in the parking lot or in the driveway, he says, you don't remember me? And I look at him and I'm like, who are you? Let me see. I can't see you. So as he got out, I knew exactly who he was.
Wow.
Yes. And I'm like, where have you been? What have you been doing? And he told me his little story, and he's doing really big things still in the cannabis space.
Wow.
And doing extremely well.
Wow.
Extremely well. Yes.
Is he like a known?
He is a known fella. I just can't say who he is.
Can you tell me off air?
Yeah,
Okay,
I will tell you. I will tell you who he is.
Okay.
Yes, and then they ended up having about maybe 20 stores throughout LA.
Wow.
Yes.
That's insane.
Yes.
So he ended up kind of taking that path too, and you were taking your path, and now you guys kind of like...
And here we are. I
Wow.
mean, when I tell you not even a month ago, it's been a month now.
Wow, I kind of got like chills.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes.
So what happened to the other two guys?
He said they're still doing their thing. Everybody's still in the industry.
Oh, okay.
But he's the go-to. He's the little sales guy. He's the go-getter,
Okay.
So, yeah.
Wow. So you guys are going to team up with your companies?
Yes.
Wow. Look at how that worked
I
out.
know. And he doesn't. He's like, what are you doing? I thought you got out of this. He thought I got out of it after that one situation with the store.
Yeah.
Because at some point I had to close all the stores down, in a sense.
Okay, yeah. So you
I
said
didn't finish this court case
So you went to the court. Tell me.
Yes, and I ended up getting prosecuted. I had to shut down anything that pertained to me. I ended up getting on probation. I ended up having to pay fees. I ended up catching, as they say, technically speaking, a case. And with that, I really got pissed off because I haven't started talking as to where I am today in this space.
Right.
I got so pissed off that I started saying, you know what? I'm going to go to every city council meeting, every neighborhood watch meeting, every neighborhood council meeting, and getting involved. So they could see I'm a black woman in the space. I'm a minority. I'm not a gangster. I'm not a gangbanger. I'm just a regular girl that grew up in LA trying to create a business and make it a self-sustaining business and a profitable business. And then I also was dealing with what we're dealing with in our community is we're disproportionately dealing with a lot of things that are imbalanced. From having nice restaurants, so we're eating the worst foods, to not having the best supermarkets, so we're really eating the worst foods, and that having an impact on our health, and that having an impact on those clients and the customers that I was dealing with on a daily basis. So I said, I need to start speaking out and up for all of them. So I did just that. So then as I started going to the city council meetings, then people were like, okay, here comes Miss Bullock. Okay, give her the mic just for 30 seconds. They kept hitting the switch on me. Okay, you're talking too long. But then I started meeting up with other organizations, reached out with the Guerrilla Life Group, the Think and Grow Lab with Cherie Franklin and Denny Shaker, just a ton of different people. Met and sat down with the Minority Alliance, which was Virgil Grant's organization. And
Wow.
I really started getting just full throttle. I dove deep into this because it was a level of me being pissed off. You coming to me, you prosecuting me. Now I have a case. No, I just wanted to make sure that anyone else that came into I guess fell into the same category as myself, for those in the past, those present and future, that they have an opportunity and a seat at the table to be able to still yet have an opportunity to climb into cannabis and do this business legitimately, do it respectfully, and do it wholeheartedly to create generational wealth, brand legacies, to even have an opportunity whatever they want to do in the cannabis space, if it's agriculture, if it's growing, if it's better understanding, the ancillary business, which could be packaging, it could be labeling, it could be websites, it could be anything.
That's huge, I think.
Oh,
and
totally.
People don't realize that, because people ask, how should I get into the space? I'm like, that's a huge avenue. People don't really look at.
Not at all. And then, a lot of people are still what we call on paper, in a sense, where they've gotten out of prison, but they still have to wait a few years before they sign off on the dotted line. They say that they are completely scot-free. There are those still on probation that are still dealing with this. I'll never forget when they finally said it was overturned and I was still on probation. I probably still had a year to go. I would set a date to go in front of the judge. I did. And I, and pleaded my case saying basically, now cannabis in a sense is legal. The space is illegal. It's all over with. Can you please take me off of probation? The prosecuting attorney stopped me in the middle of my words and said, I just don't think it's right that Miss Bullock should be able to be off probation. It looks as though she still possibly might have an inkling to still create and have an illegal business on 6th Avenue in Florence. She's like, we've recently gone by there and it looks like there's still a little marking left on the lighted marquee, a still little speck of green on that sign. I'm like, the people have cleaned that sign up, but I'll go and have them remove every little bitty, itty bitty teeny piece that's left. When I realized that, then I'm like, okay, they really don't care if it is at a point where, the deed has been done. The taxpayers and the majority of the population have said, okay, let's consider this as a non-legal, non-threat, non-issue when it comes to having or pertaining or anything pertaining to cannabis, the sale of it or the smoking of it or whatever. But from how I was treated that day in court, with me just looking at wanting to have it removed off of my record. And when she said that, then I said, I'm going to go real full throttle with this. Now, since I said I've been working toward city officials and making sure that we create a space for social equity in cannabis, I said, okay, since the lady feels as though I won't see an easy way of overcoming what her state of mind is or where her mindset was, I said, I'm just going to go in and grab every possible license I can that's out there, not for other people, but just for me. I took it personal. Then I said, okay, if she's going to do that, let me just go and make sure other people around me, as far as minorities, black, brown, Asian, I don't care what color you are. I want to help you too get a license. So I ended up partnering up with Cherie Franklin and Danny Shaker at the Think and Grow Lab, and we created the Verde Incubator. The Verde Incubator space is where we actually work to help those that have been in the shadows when it comes to cannabis, that may not want their licensing or know how to get their licensing. We've been able to help them obtain licensing, where we wanted to create an ecosystem. So from beginning of the seed all the way to the sale of who the end user would be, to create that space. That's to help any cultivator, anyone that may want a retail store, anyone that want delivery, anyone that may want to understand how to create strains and the genetics of that, or anyone that just wants to give a hand, roll up some sleeves and get involved. So the incubator space is located in what we call the Goodyear Tract. It's off of Avalon and Gage, and it is a 150,000 square foot facility. And within that facility, we have multiple licensed cultivators, In addition to that, we have our space for distribution. We have multiple delivery licensees that are also going through the process right now. And then we also have an 8,000 square foot space for manufacturing. And with that, it does total to about 150,000 plus. And then we have some other locations that are off campus or off site as well, another 60,000 square feet elsewhere. But with this, we've been working diligently and helping any person that's out there get to the next level, get them licensed, get them with a brand if they're actually just interested in having a cannabis brand, even a pre-roll or an edible. It's been that for me, the plight of making sure that there's anyone out there that has been pissed off and now and allowing that pistosity to become the fuel to get to the next level. That's just been my thing. So you'll see me every day posting something on Instagram, on Facebook, talking to people, helping with legacy brands, helping those that may have cases, helping to overturn cases, trying to figure out, with what people are dealing with on a daily basis. With some of the brands that are on board with me, I want to shout out to Evelyn LaChapelle and Anthony and L'Oreal Allegrete, and then also Corvain Cooper. They are all part of what's called the Last Prisoner Project, and I've done brands with them. Currently, I have with Evelyn LaChapelle. Her brand is roughly called 87 Months. Evelyn LaChapelle did 87 months in prison for depositing a certain dollar amount into her checking account. And
what do you mean?
It showed that regarding a transaction for a friend, a boyfriend, she had deposited some money into her account, and she was prosecuted and did 87 months in prison for that.
I think I follow her on Instagram, but I didn't know that was the case. So she deposited money
into her checking account,
and they track that, and she did 87 months
in prison
for that.
Yes.
And they tracked it back to him with what?
I'll let you look at the case.
Okay.
I'll let you look at the case.
Interesting.
And yes. And Corvain Cooper is her co-defendant.
Okay.
And ideally, he was doing life in prison.
I think I met him.
And on January 20th, Trump did give clemency to him. And now he's out. He's been out for about 4 months. Wow. And ever since then, I've been working diligently with them. And what we've created were some brands. One is called the 40 Tons with L'Oreal. She's also a woman of color, black woman. Shout out to you, L'Oreal Allegrete. She and I, along with her husband and Corvain, have created the brand. He actually was prosecuted and doing life in prison for 40 tons of cannabis. 40 tons is quite a bit.
Yeah.
So what we've created is a brand where the proceeds or a percentage of the proceeds go toward helping the 40,000 prisoners that are still incarcerated for cannabis convictions.
Right.
And it is called the 40 Tons 1 gram. That 1 gram we sell for $20 a gram. It is a premium cannabis brand flower. But with that, a percentage of those proceeds go to helping those out there that have been wrongly charged, we feel, if the case. And on the state level, the local level, if the state is now saying that cannabis is allowable, we should actually have set every prisoner free, in my eyes.
Right.
It just does not make sense.
What are they saying that these barriers for why they're not out?
Well, there's so many different barriers. It's called paperwork.
Wow.
It's sad. It's like that.
That's insane. Talking about your facility.
Yes.
Is that the one that I went to?
Yes.
Yeah. So
I don't know if you had even a chance to walk all the buildings with me.
No, but right when you walk in, and I because from the outside you can't tell. Right when you walked into I think we walked to the distro side.
Yes.
I was like, whoa.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Holy
It's huge,
shit, this
right?
is huge.
Yeah,
It was huge.
Yes.
So wait, so what? So you've broken down the facility into?
Yes, I don't know. When the distro side we were in, but I don't know if you remember where you were doing an interview near the other. And shout out to Johnny of the Good Gas Company. Good Gas is another brand out there. Premium young guys out here in the Valley doing their thing
Love
with
it.
me. Another minority-owned company. Yes, we were near their
Right.
structure. Down there at the 642 East 62nd address
Okay.
is the beginning of my cultivation space.
Got it.
So that's about 17,000 square feet there, the first
Okay.
phase. Then we have another 16,000 square feet of my second phase of Greenhaven, LA, cultivation.
Oh, they're the phases of them.
Yes.
Oh,
So next door, there's all down the row. You're walking past cultivation. So roughly, there's about 80. I want to say about 75,000 square feet of cultivation that we start walking past until we get to the 10,000 square foot distribution. Then we have another 5,000 square feet of the delivery companies, and then we have another 13,000 square feet of manufacturing, and then we have another 18,000 square feet of cultivation on the end.
Wow.
So we still didn't get to the other portion on the other side of the white truck where the step and repeat of all the brands are. You couldn't see the other side of that, but yes, so it's a lot of it's a lot of real estate.
Yeah, but I mean, you're a property owner. You've been so you're used to this. But so in the facility, it's all your in-house brands.
Correct.
Got it. And there's no other, like, when you said that you want to help people with their licensing, can you explain that?
Of course. Well, there are a lot of social equity. Social equity applicants with the city of LA that don't have funding.
Got it.
Even with this, I didn't have funding. I had to strategically create ways to create the funding, create the branding. I had to, loan myself money from my auto shop, from my other businesses. I know it's crazy, but in doing that, I had to, in a sense, be self-sufficient. When you're dealing with minorities, I'm a black woman. You know what I mean? I'm black. I'm a woman. I'm a lesbian. There's so many things going on. You know what I mean? You're like, oh my God, I don't know. I don't think we can give you money. You know what I mean? But then when you're dealing with the city and the state on levels, I want to work, or even on the federal level, I want to move into tapping into those resources because they do exist because I'm a minority, and on so many levels. But when it comes to really talking to people about cannabis, them looking at you as far as your package and who you are and what you stand for and what you do. I was truly blessed with people knowing me and seeing me as a businesswoman for many years. They're saying, "Oh, okay, I see you doing what you're doing. You've been doing your thing, and I will gently invest something." It's never what you need, but something is still yet a blessing. And me, I think because my parents were also business owners, so me having that blessing of watching them and how they've moved and how I was really taught to be conservative on so many levels. So that actually helped me, be successful, I think, to some degree with building out what I have, with, with knowing, you keep going and you don't give up. That spiritual side as far as religion goes as well has been, has been phenomenal. Yeah. And then being self-sufficient, not knowing, I haven't had a safety net with a regular job since the 90s. So, for me, I'm like,
it's just a hustle.
I'm just, every day. I'm blessed to get up and get it and go get it. And it's out there and I'm going to find it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
When you're an entrepreneur.
Right.
So with that, me being blessed to say, let me figure out what I call guerrilla marketing on ways to let people know what I'm doing so they can find me. Okay. And if they're interested, they'll invest. If they like what I'm doing, if I show them what I'm doing, a lot of people walked to my facility when the buildings were all empty. Now, all the buildings are full. Everything's almost completely built out. Cultivation, my personal cultivation is my phase one is completely 100% built out. Wow. The other partnership with Super Premium Can Corp on the other side of me in the middle, they're completely 100% built out. But the other portion in between us is just now getting started to roll out. So that's going to be phenomenal. And then also on the other side of that, Emerald Dreams. Emerald Dreams is another social equity brand that's owned by Lene and Carnell Caver, and they're also social equity partner, Ishman Baber. He's been doing extremely well also. So climbing into what he has one of the top 100 licenses for retail. He's been working on the retail space, and shout out to him and Danny Shaker on that partnership. So we'll be putting all our social equity brands in that location as well. So I'm excited about that. And then as far as that goes as well, we have the other social equity applicants, which is Anthony Suggs. We have Christopher Brown. We have DeVell Taylor. We have a host of Sabrina Suter. We have Sinyan Kelly. We have Tawana Wiggins. We have Lasagna Wiggins, her sister. And they all have brands that we're working on until we can climb into a space of the application process, and hoping that as we're all social equity applicants, we can then apply for the retail side again, in hopes that that will come to light before the end of the year. But with that too, a shout out to Rabin Woods. He's also one of our social equity applicants with the retail space that we're partnered in and working on. So we're creating this space to have an opportunity where it's a complete ecosystem. So like I said, from seed to sale, so we can actually control the amount of money we're able to make, control our expenses, control our retail price. If bills are high on some level, then we're going to adjust and, be able to make that happen.
Interesting. So in your grow, like those different brands, they're growing their cannabis in
my spaces.
In the facility.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's in their brands that you're...
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
That makes sense of why the space is so freaking huge.
Yeah, I know.
Interesting. And now that you're trying to do retail.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see. We're controlling it right now with the delivery side.
Okay.
So our delivery platforms. So we're able to push the product out and build our customer base. So as we're building our customer base, catering to you at your door, we also want to be able to cater to the masses at the stores. So we're also working on strategically locating the best possible spaces now for two of the applications we have. Mm-hmm. Right now, it's been really tough trying to find the right retail space that has ample parking, and then we're trying to stay away from those sensitive use spaces where if you're next to a school or park or drug rehab or all of that,
Right. Wait, so what? So you're back to your other shops that you had on the 6th. You got rid of those.
Oh, yes.
All of those are completely gone.
They sure are.
They sure. But you want to do retail.
Absolutely.
So,
you have to.
Right.
If you want to truly be successful,
right.
You want to do what I'm calling is a complete ecosystem from seed to sell to the end user or to the patient,
right.
to the customer.
Right.
So you have the room. If you need to lower the price, you can.
Right.
It's yours.
It's yours.
You know what you're paying for it. You know what your expenses are. You have from the transportation to the testing to the nutrients to the packaging to the trimmers. Everything is in-house. Everything.
Right. And then it's like you can kind of see with selling the product, you get to see what the demand is.
Absolutely.
Then you can go back and okay, we need to
change it.
Right. Have you done that?
Oh, yes. We've been doing, what do you call that? Not just R&Ds, but where we've had people come into the room. They don't even know what they're looking at, whose brand it is, who it belongs to. We're watching them facilitate and looking to see what people like. If it's the color, if it's the structure, if it's the look, if it's the color of the packaging, if it's the print of the packaging, the results. So we're going by even comparing THC percentages. Okay, are people really looking at that difference if it's under 20% or if it's under 25% THC or if it's under 30% THC? Let's see how people are vibing. And then let's look and see if they're really looking at the difference between an indoor or comparing it to greenhouse or outdoor or light dep.
Interesting.
Yes. We've been checking all of that out.
What do you see the difference with outdoor and indoor?
Depending now. Outdoor and depending on the strain and depending on how you care for it.
Okay.
Can actually sometimes look like an indoor. It's sad to say. There's a Tropicana that's out there. That is a Tropicana that's in Humboldt right now. Shout out. That looks so much like an indoor. And it's just straight outdoor all day.
So is that bad?
It's not bad.
That means
it's
it's taken care of so well.
It's bad because it's competition for those of us that are growing indoor that can't sell it at the price that other's being sold for.
Right.
You can't compete.
You can't compete with the outdoor growing so well that it can market for both.
Yes. And that's why people are always looking for what they call AAA light depths, because those are always passing as an indoor. It's AAA, it's premium and light deprivated.
AAA light depth. Is that named on the package?
No.
Okay. But how would you know then?
If you look at some advertise on their packaging if it's outdoor, if it's light depth, if it's greenhouse, and some will just let you know, no, this is an LA urban growers indoor flower.
Right.
On the COAs, when it comes to the history, you have to know when you're looking at test results. So you can't hoodwink anyone. You don't want to. You want people to know what they're getting.
Right. Do you know about the Appellations program?
No.
Okay.
Talk to me though.
So California, I think they did sign it in October, but it's basically mainly out of the Emerald Triangle area where they're trying to show basically they'll have to identify on the packages that the product came from the origin or wherever it's originally from, wherever it was grown, because a lot of these companies are they'll say it's from Humboldt, but it's really from LA. It's going to grow.
Yeah, it's from Altadena or something.
Right. Right. And they're selling it in that way. And they're you're taking the allure and the essence of what we're known for.
Absolutely.
Away from
No, I do agree with
product.
that.
Yeah.
It's important. Just like I would want people to know, and I want everyone always to know, this is grown from the Los Angeles urban farmers.
Interesting.
Verde Incubator, Greenhaven, LA.
Right.
You
say it's
Emerald
in
Dreams.
Right.
Yes.
You identify.
Make sure it's on there.
Right.
Yeah.
And how are companies they are getting away with it. Well, they'll say it's an Emerald Triangle, but really it's grown in an indoor facility in Sacramento. But it's close enough to where they can be we could say it's up north.
Yes,
and that will sway someone into purchasing that product.
No, I totally agree with you.
So you see that with people purchasing?
I've seen in the past.
Right. The indoor and the outdoor issue. That's a huge, but that's I've even in a meeting, they were talking about it. These growers are really trying to get their product recognized or for because they put so much time and effort into their strains and their genetics and, they have such certain temperatures in that area that you can't get in the other parts of the world.
Yes.
But that's a huge thing. So I'm really surprised to see, because I've had this conversation, people out here, I think it's grown obviously out here outdoor. It's not going to be the best. But I know Santa Barbara does allow for outdoor.
Oh, yes.
But
there's areas that can. Although who's changing right now, I think Lake County or Lower Lake, as far as when it comes to the outdoor, things just can't be just grown outdoors. If you're near another farm, you know how you can actually, in a sense, what tends to happen is the pollination is it could be running rampant. You might start with one particular strain, then the next, on someone else's farm, and their pollination heads onto your farm, and then your strain turns into something totally different. So, that's why covering is extremely important. They don't like talking about berry hoops or hoop houses, but they want to make sure there's some type of structure involved.
Oh, over it.
Yeah.
Even though it's outdoor.
And
that's to prevent from affecting adjacent.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
got it. What is your preference, outdoor, indoor?
Outdoor, indoor.
Yeah. Well, but if it's grown so well outdoor.
Well, the amount of care that's put into indoor growing is phenomenal. It is like dealing with a newborn in ICU with 24-hour care.
Interesting.
That's how indoor is, and that's why it's so expensive. That's why an average indoor pound is $2,500 opposed to, an average outdoor $600. And, you're creating the outside ambiance.
Yeah, you're controlling it.
So how do you do that?
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work to do that.
Yeah. Well, we're ending our episode. We talked so much. I loved it though. This is amazing.
Thank you. I
learned a
the
lot.
invite.
I really learned a lot. You're so smart and just a hustler, and I want to continue to learn from you. So
Okay. Well, we're friends.
yes.
I'm always around.
Yes. Thank you for coming down
Thank
here.
you.
And everyone, thank you for listening to this session. This was amazing. And I'm glad that you guys could join in and tell everyone where they can find you.
You can find me once again. It's Chonsie Bullock, the CEO of Verde Incubator. You can go to www.greenhavenla.com for a website, or you can reach out to us, 310-590-5494.
Nice.
Peace and blessings.
You can follow me at Shall We Toke, ShalWeToke, and that's shallwetoke.com as well. My name is Shalina. Thank you for joining me for another session on Shall We Toke. See you next time.
You're listening to Hayes Radio Network, Cannabis Lifestyle Radio.